everyone, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Brandon.
And this is Fish or Price Ranch. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Sarah with Fish or Price Ranch. First off, please don't forget to subscribe and like this video. So I've had quite a few people asking me a lot of information about raising rabbits, so I figured I would do like I did with my goats. If anybody's interested in videos on how to raise goats, I have made a few of those, basically Raising Goats 101. So we're going to do the same here with our rabbits. And so we're going to start off with this video. This is going to be different ways of housing them, size cages and hutches and colony style, and basically picking the right rabbits for you and basic care. Alright, so basically the first thing that you want to do is figure out why you want rabbits. Is it going to be, are you just breeding for pets? Are you just going to have a few as pets? Are you going to breed for meat or pelts? So you want to figure out exactly why you're wanting rabbits, because that's going to determine what breeds you're going to look for. So once you've determined what you're going to use them for, then you can start looking at breeds. So there's quite a few different breeds out there on the market. If you're looking more for just pet quality or even like show rabbits, smaller show rabbits I should say, I would look at the minis. There's the Netherland Dwarves and Mini Rex and different minis or smaller sized rabbits that could be what you're looking for. And then if you're looking more for like meat rabbits or larger show rabbits, I would look into like Rex, New Zealand, there's Satin, and then if you want any giants, you can look at like the Flemish giants, the giant chinchillas, and things like that. So you just have to decide, like I said, what you're wanting them for. Just know going into it, if you are raising for meat, just because they're giants does not mean they're a meat rabbit. A lot of the giants like the Flemish are larger boned with a longer frame, and their meat to bone ratio is not very good, and they also grow very slow. So just because they're a giant rabbit does not mean they're going to be great for meat. Us personally, we have chosen the Rex. We started off with the Flemish, and we used them for show, and then we added the Rex in there for the really nice soft pelts and for a better meat rabbit. And then we kind of switched over and we decided to personally get out of showing after we lost all our rabbits to neighbor dogs that came in and broke into our barn and they killed everything. So we had to start completely over, but I took a few years off. So this time when I got back into rabbits, I decided to do it more for myself, and I really wanted to work for fun. I like the colors, and also I wanted to create a mixed breed rabbit that was exactly what I was looking for. And so we decided to cross the Flemish because I love the giants. We crossed those with the Rex because I love the Rex fur pelt, which is great for blankets and things. And then also the Satin because of their shiny coat. So I'll get a really beautiful satin coat with the Rex fur on a large breed rabbit. And crossing the two meat breeds, the Satin and the Rex, over the giant, we will get an in-between rabbit that is going to be a lot larger and hold more meat on the bone. Now, if you're interested in more information on our project, you can just look into the search bar on our videos and type in Giant Rex Project, and that will give you guys a little more info on that. So once you've decided what breed of rabbit or rabbits you plan to raise, then we can look at how you're going to house them. So there's a couple different ways of doing this. You can do hutches off the ground, you could do hanging cages, or you can even do colony style. There's mixed reviews on every single type of way to house rabbits, and I'll go over a few of them here, but basically if they're in hutches or hanging cages, the rabbits are sitting on wire and you can get sore hocks, so you want to make sure they have adequate like tiles, or like we're currently using wood, which isn't the best idea, but that's all I have my hands on for right now. But I do plan to switch to tile. Tile doesn't hold the moisture or bacteria, they're easy to clean, and you could just set them right in the cage and the rabbit has somewhere to lay off of the wire. We're currently just using the wood, like I said, and so they're able to get off the wire for now. And then, of course, if you have them on the colony, then they don't really get sore hawks, but then you have a chance of getting worms, parasites in your rabbits because they're on the ground. If you have a lot of wild rabbits, they can bring in diseases. So you just definitely have to make sure that if you have them in a colony, that you do it right and make sure that they don't have access to the outside rabbits. So maybe put up a wall, maybe a 2-foot wall around the entire enclosure that's solid to keep the wild rabbits from being nose to nose with your rabbits, and also building it so that the rabbits can't dig in or out, which I will show you ours right now. So this is our colony. We're coming out of winter, so everything's still dead, but this will be full of grass again at one point. It's starting to come in our yard here. But what we did is we did this fencing here, which is the no-climb horse fence. It's extra sturdy, nice thick gauge wire. And then about 2.5 feet up, we did this 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch wire, and then we rolled it down onto the ground. So the rabbits will typically, if they're going to try and dig out, they will go up to the base of the fence and try and dig. So the fact that the wire is here, they cannot dig through that, so they don't even try. We've had rabbits in here for about, I would say 6 months, and we have not had any of them escape with just doing this method. So these are our hutches. We hand build these, and the reason for that is I like them specific heights. Basically, when I go up to my rabbit cage, I want it waist high or just below waist high, so I don't have to either bend down to get to my rabbit cage, or I don't have to reach up and over or up high to get into the cage, or try and squeeze down. So I like my rabbit cages to where they are tall. Especially having the larger breeds, they can stand up if they want to, and they have full range of motion in here. And then I saw another rabbit breeder do this, and she put down the bigger pieces of this, but she did the lattice, but it had the smaller holes in it. I just couldn't afford those ones. They were a lot more expensive, but these ones work really nice because it does give the rabbits a little bit of comfort off of the wire at all times, but then they also have their piece of wood that they can get off of the wire as well. So depending on the size of your rabbit will depend on the size of the cage or hutch that you want to keep them in. All of our cages are all 3 foot deep, so 3 foot this way. And then most of ours are about 2.5 feet to as large as 4 feet across. So it really depends. Like I have a 14-pound doe in this cage here. This one is 3 foot by 4 foot. So as you can see her in there, she has plenty of space with her 2 babies that we are holding on to from her last litter, and she has plenty of space to move around in there. Alright, so now that we've kind of gone over how, what type of breeds of rabbits, why you're going to raise them, and housing, we're going to talk about basic maintenance care and feeding. So one thing that you want to look for with their feed is a good quality feed. Alright, so when you're looking for a quality feed for your rabbits, you don't want to get the cheapest one you can find. You want to find a pellet that is a Timothy grass-based pellet. And you don't want to do alfalfa because it can be too rich and it can cause problems. Either they can get really fat, or if they have way too much calcium, they could potentially get mastitis for over milk production and things like that. So it's best to have a Timothy-based pellet, and then you can add in a little bit of alfalfa hay if you want to give them some. And then so once you figure out their pellet, then you can go on to hay. So you can do, we just do a grass hay and a grass pellet, and our rabbits do really well with that. You can add in, like I said, the alfalfa hay if you want to give them a little bit more. And then also you can even give them clippings. So we have lots of grass here in Arkansas, and also the trees. So we will pull leaves off the trees. Make sure you watch your toxic plants, of course. But you can feed them some leaves off the tree. You can give them some grass as long as it's really tall grass. You don't want to trim short grass, and never give them lawn clippings. You want to make sure the grass is nice and long and freshly cut, and only give them what they're going to eat within a day, because it will start to go dry and can just cause problems or go moldy or something like that. So you just want to be careful on what you're foraging for. I definitely highly recommend the book Beyond the Pellet. That's the one that I purchased, and I absolutely love it. It gives you a ton of information. So if you're interested in looking at forage feeding your rabbits completely or adding it into their already pellet diet, that would be a great book to check out. Alright, so then the only other thing that you really have to do maintenance-wise is obviously keep their cages clean. We clean our cages. I sweep out, so I have about, let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cages, 11 hutches, and I probably sweep them out. I use a broom and a scraper to clean my cages. So I have a little broom head that I got from the dollar store, which I use to just sweep out their cage. Sometimes the rabbits, if they have large poop and they don't fall through, they can pack it into a corner. And so I just use a scraper that I use to scrape that out, and then I clean it really well. Or even sometimes I'll use a small hand rake to kind of just rake it off of the wire. Sometimes that really helps too. But basically I clean every cage every week, but usually I'll do a couple cages every single day, so it's not too much. You don't want to overwork yourself, or just don't have too much that you can't handle it. And then the other thing that I do, let me show you, is underneath my cages I clean every 2 weeks. So I've just started cleaning, so I've got all these ones done and all the cages above them are all clean. I clean my cages first, and then anything that falls, then I go in and I clean up all of my manure. So I haven't finished this side yet, so I'm going to show you. This is how much that we collect in about 2 weeks, which really isn't a lot. So if I do it once a month, if I'm too busy and I just can't get to it, it's a lot more work and it takes me quite a few hours. But doing it every 2 weeks, it'll only take me about an hour and a half a day. In that day to get them cleaned. And this is actually one of the best things about raising rabbits is all of this manure. It is so good for your garden, any of your plants, inside and out. It will not burn your plants. You can throw it directly onto your plants and it will not burn them or kill them. Gives your plants lots of nitrogen and they grow very, very well. And I've even had instances where people will actually buy my rabbit manure. So I'll put it in old feed bags and they will actually buy it from me. So rabbit manure is amazing. So another thing that I did want to add is also you want to make sure that your rabbits are staying healthy. So one of the other maintenance things that you will have to do with your rabbits is checking their nails. They will need trimming. We probably do them about once every 2 months. It really depends on the rabbit. You can trim it with just regular toenail clippers or the little cat clippers, and just watch that quick. You don't want to hit it and make them bleed, but you definitely want to keep them trimmed. It will save your hands and your arms if the rabbit freaks out. You won't get clawed up too bad. But yeah, that's one of the things you definitely want to make sure you do. All right, you guys. Well, the last thing I think I'm going to talk about is if you get into rabbits, my best advice is to find a rabbit mentor. Because there's going to be things that are going to pop up that you've never dealt with before. I've been doing rabbits on and off, but on for a total of 9 years, and there's still things that I've dealt with that I've never dealt with before. So finding rabbit mentors, joining groups if you're online about raising rabbits is always a great idea because you will learn so much. And so that's my advice on that. Definitely find you a mentor. Even message me here on YouTube or Facebook. We also have a website at fisherpriceranch.com. And you can get a hold of us, and we are always willing to share our information. So that's going to end this video, but make sure you stay tuned because the next video we will be talking about is breeding and how you're going to handle all the baby bunnies that you're about to have. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.